Yeah, hopefully this shows up in people's feeds and stuff this time.
Well, I didn't see it.
Because the Rocket League
I
one
had
I don't
did.
think it will
I had to go to
it
your
wasn't
channel
even.
again in order to get the link. I did tweet
Hmm.
it. I tweeted it. No, but I'm
Because
not gonna
yeah,
get many
on
people look at
Saturday
my tweets.
the North American Rocket League thing didn't show up, but on Sunday the European one did. Same channel. It's just it didn't. I
Same
had to
channel.
fucking dig for it on Saturday, and on Sunday it was just right there in my feed.
So if I
It's
check
really
my
fucking
subs
up. I
now,
was pissed, dude.
So
um,
hopefully, I mean, I put it in Discord. I put it on Twitter. I'm gonna actually.
okay.
I'll
So I got the notification for it, but if I refresh my subscription feed, it's not there.
It's
Yeah,
not in my feed either. I'm gonna have to like go to
Yeah.
your channel. I'm gonna retweet it. If you guys put it on Twitter, I'll retweet it as well. Because at this point, that's all
Yeah.
we got, I think.
So I got the notification bell pop up saying you got
I'm
one new
telling
video.
you, I genuinely think it's only like
Nah.
mainly people that are well, I guess
I
I
think
don't know.
it's streaming because somebody uploaded just a regular video to you or whatever. It just popped. It was right up. It popped right up for me. So it's just the live.
No, just lives. No,
Yeah.
it's just live streams.
Yeah.
Even though I missed your back at the backlog episode.
Which makes sense because that would
Wow,
be
yeah.
why
Was it
my live stream views went down from last time.
Yeah, last week we had I think a peak was like 20, and that's with. And people still don't know we're starting early. I guess they didn't watch last week. So what's up? Yeah, this is the new time. Moving forward, probably till after April. I'm working early shift, and this works better for Clocked It and Retro Death anyway, as far as Timmy and Robert. So we just said, what the hell? Let's just start it at an earlier time since we can, and hopefully we get some more, maybe some European viewers can check us out now. So, but we ain't got a ton of people because the feed. Yeah, Alex, Mario remasters. Let's go. Yeah, I was thinking. I think that's the first thing I wanted to talk about anyway.
You're like, oh no.
Oh no.
Sorry, Lenny. Who'd we lose? T?
Yeah,
he's back.
T's already fucked that shit.
No, I'm on my iPad, so when I went to share the video, it automatically bounces me out. So.
All right, so yeah, I don't want to get right into a topic that big until we maybe get some more people in here. So, any Animal Crossing updates? Anybody got anything? Any stories or anything?
Dude, I
Anything cool?
I can't put this fucking game down. It's so good.
Is this one different? Where you're like,
can't pick the game up, man. I haven't had the damn chance.
like I couldn't find more than 30 minutes worth of stuff to do in New Leaf, and I had
Dude,
my house
I've played
paid
already
off.
90 hours, man. I mean, like,
So what's different with this game where you can just play it
I'm
for
telling
longer
you,
sessions?
the Nook Miles are absolutely It's a game changer, man. The Nook Miles. I mean, like literally, it's just a whole task list
of chores
to do. Of well, isn't that
just
every game? Isn't that every game? To be fair,
No.
I mean, like,
It's-
what?
It's
How's
not
it not?
just it's not just the Nuke Mouse though, because that puts it a bit simpler. Is the fact that you can always do something with them. There's always things to do. There's always houses to build, villages to find, works to put out in the city, bridges to build. From the start, you get access to all the stuff that the New Leaf, for example, you get only after like a year of playing.
Yeah, and especially like now I'm like every day, like I feel like there's an overabundance of like, oh, here's this open, and also this is this and that's that, and you're like, oh
Yeah.
shit, we just have 2 new villagers now. I gotta talk to them. How are they doing? How are you? And it's so good, man. I can't stop.
I'm also like, I think, because I looked today as well. I can't the fucking Switch. I can't check the exact hours. I mean, you can never check the exact hours.
Yeah, you can't.
I just passed right now. Animal Crossing for me is between Super Mario Odyssey and I think Xenoblade. So I'm at least at 70 hours now at this point. Also after like 10 days.
Exactly. Yeah. For me, I'm in between. Dragon Quest Builders 2, which was 70 hours, and Mario Maker 2, which is like 140. So like between those two, I was counting it up the hours like on the parental controls app, and it says like 90. So I'm like, well, there you go.
I think the game changer for me is instant messaging to all my friends. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's great.
When your wife lets you have the Switch, you mean?
Wow.
That was so unnecessary, man. That was meant to be just between us, man. You changed.
It's true because we talk to each other almost every day right now. You got
yeah.
introduced to like the stock market, so every morning we're like, "Yo, what are your turnips at and shit? You know, who's in your town? What can I get and shit?" And we help each other
That's
out with
cool.
materials and kind of stuff. It's really cool.
Dude, with the stock market is awesome. So every Sunday you buy turnips, and I bought 200 something thousand worth of bills worth of turnips, and now I'm just waiting every day. I'm asking Timmy Tommy, give me the fucking turnip price right now, motherfucker. I just barge in, I say, shut the fuck up, don't tell me what's inside, tell me the turnip price, and it's so good.
You made like a huge loss on that shit the first time, didn't you?
Yeah, no. Last week I made a pretty big loss but again, it was my first time, and I was like, you know what, I'll stick to it. But now it's like, even if there's somewhat of a profit, I'll just take it because regardless, it'll be big. You know what I mean? It's gonna be pretty big. But oh man, it's so good, man.
Yeah, I had my first day of rain today, and I was like, yeah,
Dude, it's always raining for me.
I know. It's the first time I had it. I was like, oh, this rain looks all right. I went to the river. I was like, oh, those are the best raindrops I've ever seen.
Fucking graphics hoe.
Oh, they look beautiful, man. Beautiful.
Well, you know what? Also, is that what I love is just the village feels so alive, especially the more you build. Right now, the Able sisters just opened up, so it's like this tailor shop. They just opened up right now, and I have another few villagers, and I see I'm like, where the fuck this other villager at? And I can't find him because one of the things is like, hey, talk to everyone every day, and I always want to do that anyway, but. I'm trying to find this fucker. I'm like, where the fuck's Olaf, bro? Where the fuck is he at? And I'm like, wait a minute. There's like 6, 7 villagers. He might be in the museum, and then I see him like looking around in the butterfly section. I'm like, oh, I just love it. Now they'll be like, they'll tell you, it's just nice, the interactions. Like they're doing things now, like actual NPCs, and it's just good. Like whether they're sitting down, they're fishing, or they're talking to each other, you can overhear. I mean, sometimes I was before, but they're just a lot more alive. Every single one of them, they'll play games. They'll do. It's so good. It's so much more. It's just so much more like in this game. Like there's just so much to do, and it's like it feels like it's never gonna end. Like I'm thinking, like, damn, 100. Imagine when the next one comes out, I'll be at like 1,000 something by the time it's all over.
I think it's like also because we're not time traveling. We're taking our time, just playing the game properly. So we could be excited about the progression in terms of building up the island and slowly getting stuff. It's all rewarding. Once you get it.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Definitely.
good. I don't think it was ever a question that, well, I guess maybe there was a little bit of a question if the game would turn out to be everything you guys were hoping it would be, but after last week's discussion, obviously it turned out to be the type of game you're hoping.
Yeah, we nearly had that Mario Tennis and Crafted World fever going on, did we? In terms of,
because like in the end of the day, they could have very well come out and it could have just been a new leaf in HD. And while I still wouldn't have mind that, it's nice that you have the actual growth of the series and actual evolution of it, and I'm super happy. Well, I will say, I mean, if we're talking about animations, no offense to Pokemon, but like just I mean, animation wise, and all these guys are just so nice, it's so. It's stunning.
Isn't it nice to be able to talk about a Nintendo game like that, like a big Nintendo game where they actually put effort in, for their first HD game, it's lovely.
Well, I think the Animal Crossing team needs a lot of prop, because they do Splatoon also and stuff. They do some really good shit.
They do that stuff, man. They do that stuff.
Yeah, they got some solid games.
Yeah. Let's keep that Nintendo.
I wonder what their next, I mean, obviously, one day they're going to experiment out of Splatoon and Animal Crossing again, so it'll be interesting to see what they do.
You would guess they're working on something right now. I wonder what that would be.
You think? Well, I guess, most
of the times they are on to the next project, by the time
the project's already going, man. The project's already going.
Well, they've probably just been bug testing and stuff the last few months on Animal Crossing, I would think. But
right. Yeah, so they probably have already been started full on at something else.
Yeah, I mean,
Splatoon
maybe
3.
I know some people want like a Splatoon 3 in the same console. I don't think we need that. I think that could be.
I think we need a 3D platformer adventure.
Yeah, I
like the
said that
Infinite.
before.
Oh yeah, no, that'd be dope.
Like,
That'd be
I
awesome.
want to see like
Donkey Kong.
So, watching Robert's back at the backlog earlier today, and I'm seeing a lot. Watching your footage of Tearaway, which a game I didn't really pay attention to. Just the amount of like creativity, originality in that game. I don't know how long it was. You didn't really specify. It was like if it was short or long or.
I think it was about 10 hours.
All right,
Yeah,
but I'm just like, why does Crafted World just look so fucking uninspired? And then Tearaway, which came out 5 years ago, looks so fucking like amazing.
Gorgeous.
I don't understand how.
Yeah, something went wrong with Crafted World. I think we learned some stuff. People left. The sound guy left, or he got fired, or something like that, or they didn't hire him back. I think something
But just
wasn't quite right with the development.
That's what added to the extra development time. I'm sure when they lost people and
and it's not like they're gonna make Yoshi a full 3D. They had some 3D like stuff in it that was just some annoying. Like when you're on top of that vehicle, you just could change like between middle, left, and right lane and dodge and stuff. But it's
so slow.
Why
like I went back to play.
I
went back to play Woolly World. I'm like, this is so much faster and better in every way. Like
I just it's still even though I've been hating on Nintendo quite a bit, it's still the fanboy in me is like, why are you letting Sony come out with a game so much more creative like that?
Oh yeah,
I don't like that.
What pisses me off, the games, they're never going to do that again because it sold 240,000.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like that game looks so unique, so creative. Like, where's
super? I mean, the variety in that game is insane. The variety in the game is insane.
I think I'm gonna pick it up. Best Buy doesn't even have it. You can't even. The search results don't.
I saw on Amazon it was 10.
Amazon has it 16. I've seen it for 16.
I bought it for $5, brand new.
Yeah, Tearaway is pretty cheap. It was also one of the main games I wanted to play on the PlayStation 4. I still haven't picked it up, but you find it for $5-10 like in game stores easy.
Yeah, that's where I found it. $5.
Yeah, who's the developer on it though? It's not Nintendo.
Media Molecule and some other company.
And Targier Studios. I think Targier just helped them out.
Granny 3D. I don't know.
They're British. They're British studio as well, aren't they? What?
Yeah.
Targier, they're the ones who made.
Yeah, well, Targier, like I guess, helped out. The main guys were, Media Molecule.
Oh, wait, didn't he do
Little Nightmares?
They done Dreams.
Planet and Dreams.
Dreams, yeah.
Good studios. See, British studios, man. Back in the day, Sony had some great British studios. You had Psygnosis. They done so much.
Oh, Psygnosis.
They've done so much, and Sony got rid of them. It fucking drives me mad. You can find some great studios, and they just knock them down to the curbs as soon as nothing works out, man.
And well, that's why
Shadow of the Beast.
It honestly hurts me, when you everyone's talking about Horizon Zero Dawn PC, but then no one buys Tearaway. it's like, man, why can't you buy that?
Because it looks like kiddie shit.
My friend was trying.
These Sony guys are just as bad when it comes to being like dude bros.
Dude, for sure. Think about it. They didn't pick up that or Concrete Genie. I mean, like they didn't pick up either of those. It's like, come on.
No.
Well, a lot of the guys that own the PlayStation 4 are the guys that own the Xbox 360. So that audience,
they moved over.
Yeah, but and Sony did reconfirm in a tweet that that they're releasing the PS5 holiday 2020. They just if I was them, I would have just kind of, unless they're very confident that they can get the thing out. But I was kind of shocked.
Just save that for later. Like this is not really.
Oh, Alex Prime's a dude, bro, because he says no thanks. I'll get Horizon. Horizon's fucking boring. You want to talk about uninspired?
Mr. Alex Prime, why you gotta say LOL Tearaway? Come on, man.
Tearaway looks like.
The irony is, I feel like that was like my greatest regret purchase because the reason why I bought it is because Juice was so fucking excited for Horizon.
For what, Horizon?
Literally, now it's literally like the game's mediocre. It's boring.
I told you it was mediocre before you bought it.
Juice would talk you into buying some shit that you ain't gonna play.
No. By the time he bought that, I had told everybody it was fucking boring, and it.
You flipped so much though, because you like when
I didn't even buy it till 4 months after it came out. Like,
Yeah, because Breath of the Wild.
Oh, because of Breath of the Wild.
It's not like I was
But
like,
you
oh
were
my
all-
god,
you were
get
all-
this
you-
game, dude, get this game. You were
you were-
going off my before the game came out excitement, and not my post game after I played it.
No, because I still remember the fucking nights when you were sitting there gawking over the visuals and shit.
It wasn't the
Like,
visuals, it was the
man.
way she moved through the environment that I was like, man, I wish Link could move like.
Yeah,
Like,
you're
had
on
that-
that shit.
It wasn't. It's not that.
It looks great in stills, but something's off. I've said it over and over again.
That's like the most backhand.
I
You look
disagree.
good
I
when you
think-
don't move.
I think
But
the
when you
art
But I'm just
style-
saying, like something's
Bro.
off when you're moving. Something's just off in that game when you're moving around visually. It's just.
Shit,
I've always said that something's off about that game, the visual style.
Visually, I think it's superb. I think it's one of the better art styles that Sony's done. Like as far as if you want it to be, you know, with real human characters and stuff, I think it's one of the better ones because it's just everything. Like colors are just kind of exaggerated. It just kind of looks fantastical to me. Like it's,
People look like
What
dolls.
game you talking
but the
about,
the people look like trash.
You got
but-
that doll face
They
ass.
straight up look like dolls, like waxy
Yeah.
ass dolls.
And
What's
they're,
this? Horizon.
Horizon
Waxy
Zero
ass
Dawn.
doll.
They shining and shit.
But when just the way like just the way the character could run and roll and just kind of except for of course they were showing like in a good setting when anytime you come to some kind of hill or something and you can't fucking climb even a minor slope because of the limitations of the game or all the invisible walls. But I was just like, man, I said I wish Link kind of had that full animation, kind of like Tomb Raider. Whether you love the game or not, just the way Lara Croft can move through the environments is just kind of seamless and it's just
I think that's my issue with it. Like it just looks very samey, like everywhere you go. It's just
there's nothing
there's
that
not a lot of visual flair as far as like different areas.
there's nothing memorable. That's one of my biggest complaints. I said I can just I go from follow the yellow line, follow the yellow brick road to my destination, and I'm like, have I been here before? Or I can't tell. It all looks the same except for the desert area, which is all just kind of bland desert area. And then there's the only area that looked cool was this giant, like remains of this giant robotic thing that was like the size of a mountain, which didn't really make sense, how big it was. But you're climbing up all these like tentacle arms of this robotic, skeleton. And that area looked
fun
cool.
the first time you do it.
Yeah. And then you just get to the top and you slide down and it's forgotten,
It's Assassin's Creed shit, man. It's like, oh, okay, I got to climb to the top of this tower again.
Yep.
And open up this area. It's the same. Like
That's just developers. It's just lazy development though in terms
yeah.
of they think, okay, we need to populate the world. There's no thought put into why should I put that object there, or why
They're
should I
just
put
dropping
that
shit
thing
down.
there?
There's a few little cool areas where you're like looking at the you can tell it was an old skyscraper covered in
I haven't gotten there yet.
There's a few little areas, but to compare directly to the game everybody wants to compare it to, Breath of the Wild, is like one of the issues is with all trying to be so realistic with all these trees and stuff, you can't hardly see anywhere. Like one of the good things about Breath of the Wild is how hilly it is, so you're constantly up at a vantage point where you're seeing things in the distance like, oh man, yeah, that's right, I want to go there. Even on my third playthrough, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I know there's a memory up there. Now that I can see
it's very
it,
flat.
and I go to it, and at Horizon, you just feel like you can't see the world. It's like you're down in a bowl, and trees and everything are blocking all your view. So there's not a lot of spots where you get up high and you're like, oh, I want to go there. Actually, there's no places like that in the game.
That's a great point.
That was one of the points. They did that round table, and it was it Ken Levine from they did BioShock 1 and Infinite, and that was the thing he said. He's like, that's the biggest accomplishment is having things call your attention in this big open world that actually call it constantly or grabbing your attention, say, oh, I want to go there and see what that is. Oh, I want to go here. That looks interesting. That's one of the brilliance of the game and the design of the world. So I'm sure that took a lot of thought and effort, and lots, like they said, every few months just have the whole team to stop what they're doing and play the current version of the game and then come back with new input while they're making Breath of the Wild. That was one of the developer things they did, where they, hey, all right, we're far enough along, stop what you're doing, everybody play from the beginning and share your experience. and that's how they.
And then at the same time, a lot of those AAA developers came out and and said, you know what, we can't do that with every game. It's just too much time, too much effort. And sometimes when I hear those statements, I'm like, but this is your baby, this is your product. You want this to be the best it can be. Take the time sometimes. Yeah, I know you got time skills and and all this stuff to deal with. But if that's the case, if you want to cut corners, shrink it down. We don't need these massive worlds all day, every day. They seem so eager to pump them out as if as if every single game needs to be the size of.
Yeah, your mic keeps going lower. By the way, your mic keeps. It sounds like there's a background noise. Is there something fan or something going on?
No, it's just my.
It just has some parts it makes your voice very higher than it.
It's like the old school Terrell.
Yeah, I missed those days.
It's a trash mic. I need to get a Patreon. Patreon people, fund me a microphone.
You have to make the Patreon.
I don't even think you need an expensive mic. I think you could buy a $10 mic and be better than what you have.
Ouch!
I think it's just faulty. I don't think it's just cheap. I think it's just
my wife, my microphone. Shit, man.
I think it's just faulty, man. I think
Welcome to the first episode of Brutal Juice.
Is that like a stuff podcast?
We don't sugarcoat shit here. So,
for the podcast, Brutal Juice.
That'll be his
like a brutal moose or something out there.
All right, so let's. I want to address this first because I always said that we don't discuss leaks or rumors and stuff, but I just wanted to tell people that's only for new information on new games. If there's a leak or rumor on old games coming out, for me, I said that there's open game on that. I'll report. I'll talk about anything that's not like.
I think we call that moving the goalpost.
No, that's the difference between a new Smash character reveal or a brand new game coming out that you had no idea was coming out, and just somebody bringing some old games to a system. That's a.
I don't understand I never understood what the issue with having that rule in the first place was.
Because I don't want to spoil stuff for people that.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to spoil stuff.
Just because one of you or one of us happened to see that Terry Bogard was even though we did talk about it before.
You say we did talk about it before.
Because I tried to not talk about it. We did. We were vague about it until the actual announcement.
That's very true. I forgot about that. We
debated it without saying what it was.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we talk about it afterwards. But I'm not going to spoil something like, let's say Link's Awakening or something. That announcement last year, I know Robert or somebody said somebody leaked that a new Zelda game was getting announced in the Direct.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. And I would hate to take that excitement like watching Clocked reaction or like Banjo-Kazooie, seeing those reactions. But finding out that Super Mario Galaxy's coming to the Switch, that's not even the same conversation.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, that's why I don't know.
It's kind of already on the Switch. If you count China and the NVIDIA tablets, it's already there.
So the news today, everybody's reporting on it. There's no way this isn't true at this point. Is Nintendo's planning for the 35th anniversary of Mario just to bring a bunch of old games. There's no exact specifics other than they're going to be remastered versions of games. People are saying Sunshine, Galaxy, those types of games. And who knows what else, because we already have the first 4 games. We got Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3 and Super Mario World through the online. So that leaves 64, Galaxy 1 and 2, Sunshine, and 3D World as far as I don't know if they'll bring if 3D Land's possibility or not. So I mean, it's cool to do something for the anniversary, but without knowing really how this is going to work, I can't really give a full opinion on it. Because if these things were like $20 a piece, I'd have a different feeling. If they try to say they're full remasters and charge $60, that would definitely be one where I'd be a little torn, because part of me is like, all right, if you're gonna remake Sunshine, cool, but at the same time, why don't you just make a new game, type of thing. So, what do you guys think about this news?
I think it's just because of the timing, dude. There's we've talked about the countless ports and stuff. And so and especially 2020 right now, as much as love Animal Crossing, after this, now we're talking about the second half of the year. People are hyped for, the 2010 Xenoblade. So the whole thing is the thing is that it's like, well, more if we have all just apparently there's a new Paper Mario, that'd be great. But like, as in, like,
I want to be fair. It wasn't like every Mario was old. Like there was rumors of new games there. They were just
one. Right?
New game.
Yeah, like there's a new Paper Mario. That's nice, but
let me just quickly before you go on, Robert. I want you to get your point out. Because you said Xenoblade, I just want to defend Xenoblade a little bit, not just because I'm a fan of it, but because that game has never had a proper release on any system.
That's true.
It didn't get a proper release on Wii because it got, it was like restricted to GameStop, and it was barely, in supply. So there's that. And then even on 3DS, you had to have a new 3DS. So it hasn't had a full proper release. So I'm gonna give it a pass to some extent.
Plus, it
has new content. It has new content as well. So
and it's a Wii game. It's not like it was last generation. I mean, it's...
right. But even outside of that, I'm just saying it hasn't had a full proper release on any console yet.
I have no issues with it.
Again, I don't have any issues with it.
Yeah, I know you didn't. I just wanted to throw that out. I'm just saying,
as if we're talking
with the timing of everything.
Yeah, with the timing. Right. The fact that there's still the only new game this year is Animal Crossing, which is fantastic. But like, if we're talking other than that, it's like. It's odd, and it is odd. Like I've come to the point where it's like, okay, we've had this mini direct, and they were like, okay, trust me, guys, wait till E3 is what we're saying. That's what we're telling you. So they're like, wait till E3. It's like, all right, fine, wait till E3. But if E3 comes and you get all these Mario games plus a new Mario, so one new Mario game, and then you're like, and that's the E3, and then it's to be like, whoa, that's weird. It's really strange. You know what I'm saying? And I know people will be hyped as balls. My God, it's a remastered version of Galaxy, and it's like I've been dying to play.
It doesn't even need a remaster.
Consoles, and it's like, dude, that game looks gorgeous right now, regardless. And it just, to me, I get it. Like, it's gonna look even more gorgeous. Don't get me wrong. I'll probably end up playing it one day. But the thing is that it's just such a weird timing because it's too many remasters and ports and stuff like that.
In the same year, yeah.
It's like, this is a lot, and so and I get it. It's also a tough time because it is the 35th anniversary. That's a pretty good 35th anniversary thing for Mario, I think.
And until we know the exact way they're doing it, it's hard to really know how to feel about it.
It's
I'm
tough.
also at the level where I almost don't want I don't think it needs. If Mario 64 got a remaster, I don't think it needs it or should have it. Mario 64 is so culture defining for the industry. Just to bring this game back, just with a new lick of paint, is in itself would not do this game justice for what it achieved and what it still does now. I still think it still plays exceptionally well. I love its graphical art style. I think it's one of the games on the N64 that's held up the most because it's so the textures are so smooth, and you can say bland and stuff, but it's just it looks fine, looks great, and it controls like a dream on the N64. So to bring this back in, like, even if it controlled like Mario Odyssey, I just don't think Mario 64 needs it. Now we could have the argument.
Would it be Mario 64 at that point if it controlled like Odyssey? I don't even want that.
and it's this as well. But that's kind of what I mean. You're not playing Mario 64 anymore. That's not Super Mario 64. You're playing something else, and it makes a massive difference with the N64 controller as well. Like, it's just some games don't need remakes.
It was built for that controller.
Yeah, I feel like Mario 64 is one of those games. Sunshine, we could always have the arguments about quality of life.
Because they rushed. I mean, it's obvious, and they said that they rushed that Sunshine out and they cut content. If they added that lost content in, that'd be something. But
awesome.
Fix them garbage ass controls anyway.
Thinking about 64 though, that comes to mind Shadow of the Colossus, where they took the original game code, all the all that stuff, and all they did, and they just built this beautiful looking recreation of the environments, but the game felt 100% Shadow of the Colossus. Like, if somebody was squinting their eyes, they wouldn't know they weren't playing the original. That's how accurate it was. So if they could retain...
How much did that cost, by the way?
$40.
Okay, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Just because Alex Prime is, trying to wind me up, saying about Mario 64 wouldn't magically disappear. Yeah, we know that you don't it. But what I was going to say,
that's not what we're saying. That's not what we're saying at all.
What I want to add as well is that we recently played Super Mario Odyssey. Now I unlocked the Mario 64 skin in Odyssey, and Odyssey pays homage to Mario 64 as well with some areas and in some ways. So even if Mario 64 came out now looking like Odyssey, it's not going to blow me away. I've kind of already seen and played what it would be like.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just, personally for me, it's hard to get excited about that. Now, of course, Nintendo could do something absolutely marvelous and magical with it, give it a completely new art style, a remastered orchestral soundtrack, and I mentioned in the Hangouts, they could throw in, the multiplayer modes from Mario 64 DS, as well as all those little card games and mini games, which I loved on Mario 64 DS. Luigi Poker was freaking just awesome. I played that so much.
But would you call it Mario 64 because it's not 64 bits?
So that, they could release that, and then at least then that kind of entices you a little bit more than just a graphical update of Mario 64 looking like Odyssey. So.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the things that would stand out, that's one of the... We can talk about the whole Xenoblade Chronicles, because there's a little bit of debate whether some people... I guess somebody's trying to say it's a port. I haven't seen anybody say that, but OJ was replying to somebody that apparently had said that. But the fact that is it a remaster, is it a remake, that type of discussion. I want to talk about some... Because it's a lot of gray area, actually, in the whole what is a remaster, because... like Mario 64, if you just bumped it up to a native resolution, that ain't gonna... I mean, yeah, it'll look clean, and it'll be, in my opinion, that would probably be the best thing, because it'd be the most true to the original.
You can already do that on emulators.
Yeah, you want to play Mario 64, here it is. It's just, we'll clean up the native resolution to match, the Switch's output, and otherwise it's going to be identical. Technically, that's a remaster at its lowest form.
It's PS3
not
remasters.
Yeah, but
HD updates.
If they added in the multiplayer stuff, it's still in the remaster realm. It doesn't become a remake until they start from scratch and just build a new game, and try to emulate like everything Mario 64 did, kind of like Link's Awakening. They built a brand new game, but tried to make it play just like the original. But it was still a remake. It wasn't just taking the original game and making it look prettier. So I think Mario 64 would look, if you tried to like improve the visuals but without changing anything else, it would look kind of empty, the world, and small. It would probably feel, to a lot of people, levels would probably feel really tiny, and it's like there's really not a lot in the world. Underwater levels, there's those fish that would swim away from you, but really if you tried to just if you tried to make it look, just take Galaxy's graphics level, but they'd have to fill the world out more, and they'd have to do kind of what Xenoblade's doing with adding geometry and add in some new assets and stuff. I don't think you could just recreate everything 1-to-1, but with a modern graphic engine. I think it would look,
because it would feel like a portable game.
Yeah, it would look a little out of date, I think, in regards to...
Yeah, the game's already got about 15 levels, I think it was.
15 worlds, yeah.
Yeah, 15 worlds, and it's those worlds now size-wise are the size of just a few islands in Galaxy or something. So I feel like if they do remake these things, obviously the horror side. I say the horror side. At the end of the day, I bought Link's Awakening, but that was a beautiful remake of a 8-bit game. So even though it was essentially the same game, it got given that visual flair, and wow, that was just so enticing. But for Mario 64, I feel like if they didn't change anything, and charge a lot of money for it. I don't know, man. Some games, like I said, they just don't need remakes, and I don't know if I could jump into it again. I don't know.
It's the same thing with movies. We don't need a remake of Back to the Future. If you do it, I'm gonna shoot somebody. So we don't need remakes of certain things. That's just the way it is.
It's weird that there's so much debate going on where some people don't understand what's a remake, what's a remaster, and all that shit. I think the main problem with OG and Xenoblade is that some people are claiming it's a port, but when it's a port, for me, you get shit like virtual console shit, or the Nintendo Online when you drop Super Nintendo games, then the game's ported over.
Basically.
Yeah, and when you have shit like, for me, Twilight Princess HD, Wind Waker HD, Shadow of the Colossus, even this Xenoblade, they're remasters where the game is exactly the same. They just, for example, update lighting or character models, but that is just a remaster. When you come in territory that's remake, Link's Awakening, for example, it's the same game, but it's completely rebuilt. Then you got a remake. Or the DuckTales thing they did a while ago. And the only step beyond that is what you have with like Final Fantasy VII, Resident Evil 2. Then you just got to reboot because that's barely even the same game anymore.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, remasters in general, I don't have a problem with, especially when they can make little improvements here and there or add some content. Like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is a remaster. They took the base game, they bumped up the resolution, they added new characters, and that's a remaster. I mean, it's just called Deluxe, but it's technically a remaster. They put in the battle mode they probably maybe originally wanted. I don't know if they just ran out of time or whatever for the the Wii U. They probably felt they needed Mario Kart 8 out as soon as possible. So I mean, that's
here's the problem I have with the in quotations the rage over these Mario ports or whatever they're gonna be because it's old games. And this is the problem and why in general we don't really discuss rumors, because now there's this outrage. Oh, we don't even get new games yet. We don't even get this. It's like, but you're technically not getting anything. People are taking this news and rolling with it. Who knows? Let's say Nintendo would reveal all this shit at E3. You think this is like the only thing they're going to show? They're going to show you games, upcoming games and shit, and then they're going to show you. I highly doubt Nintendo, when they know they basically have nothing for the rest of the year. This whole year we have Animal Crossing. No matter what other games you like, there's not that much shit really coming. I highly doubt Nintendo for E3 is all right for the rest of the year. There's all these old Mario games we made. I don't think they're going to do that. So it creates this fake outrage over information we shouldn't technically even have yet.
No, I get that. I mean, I just think that, like, I mean, it's going to put, it almost does put, to be fair, it does kind of put pressure on Nintendo for E3 where it's like, all right, well, now, I mean, I think there's already almost pressure for them regardless where it's like, now you really got to start to show something, and I feel
I'm just tired of remakes and remasters in general. As a general, even for this Mario news, it's just because we don't accept it in any other medium. Like, we don't accept it in movies. We can't stand it. Oh, the RoboCop came and went. Ghostbuster. Like, we hate that shit. But when it comes to video games, we love it. Like, we accept it. And I don't understand why that's a thing. Like,
I think we accept some I think we accept some that do that makes sense to have a remake or a remaster. And then we do reject others. Like I said, I just rejected Mario 64. I don't know how I'd feel. For example,
I just think in general nobody really rejects them, and they definitely go out and buy them.
But we're sorry to interrupt, colleague, but we're rejecting the new Ghostbusters. If you mean the chick flick thing, because it basically.
You're picking one thing out of. We're not going to go there. You're picking one thing out of what my general point
is. Because of what you named is when you if you want to make a fair comparison between remasters. I mean, CDs and albums get remastered all the time. They remaster the sound because the sound used to be shit or some shit, and of course we still accept.
But that's different than
but those artists are still making new.
Yeah, that's like that's in the same vein of taking a Blade Runner, scanning the original film into at 4K, cleaning it up and re-releasing it with pristine fucking. Without all the scratchies and all the stuff that had come, that's a remaster. But you're not remaking the movie and casting, somebody, Chris Hemsworth to play Rutger Hauer's role, or like that.
And people
those aren't the
like
same.
This isn't new. Like people got when they started doing like colorizing movies, people don't like that shit. Like this is kind of in that vein, but still a little different because obviously.
Well, it's more like when they remake Psycho.
Movies are interactive, or movies are not interactive, or games are. So it's a little different when it comes to that. But
trash.
For me at least,
it's kind of like George Lucas adding all this extra CGI bullcrap into the original trilogy. Like, what are you doing with all this?
But I think the closest thing to remaking a game that was already, like, for one thing, movies, even older movies, like I just said, Blade Runner, the film that it was used to capture, the actors and stuff, and a lot of that, almost everything was done in camera, so it's not a lot of after effect, it wasn't like a bunch of CG or anything. Those cameras are capable of, because it's actual film, so there is no resolution limit. It's the limit is the technology that can take that film and put it into a media for us to watch.
Yeah, the way we see it at home.
So all they're doing is taking the actual raw black and white, or not what's negatives, scanning those in at the highest resolution that is needed right now, which is like 4K. Some movies do 8K just to when they're doing the cleanup process, and then when they put it on Blu-ray or 4K Ultra HD, you're just seeing what was initially what people were seeing with their eyes when they were filming it. Like, you're finally seeing the movie the way that when they made it that they saw, so it's not like they're adding anything new, unless you're George Lucas. Then
we're adding in stupid voiceover.
Look at this trash fucking, if you're not watching the stream.
I will say though, this Bowser is actually modeled quite well.
The Bowser is, but the way he just flew looks absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, so they were actually taking something that we've not been able to see, like the Crow on Blu-ray versus the DVD. I was like, holy shit, there's actually stuff in the background. I thought it was just black, because the DVD, they did such a poor job that I was actually missing like the sets and stuff in the background because I couldn't see them like that. So that's a different scenario. That would be like just like fixing the native resolution, or adjusting the native resolution of a game, and something minor than that, compared to like what they did with Psycho, where they just did have reshot the original movie, or reshot it in frame by frame, copying the original movie and achieved absolutely nothing. Like, it achieved.
Is that the one with Vince Vaughn? Was it?
Yeah, it's like, just if you're gonna redo it, but just have it be the same exact frame by frame movie, then what's the point? Yeah. Anyway, that's.
And by the way, this is taking resources away, as Mythical was saying. I didn't want to leave that point out. It does take resources away from other games, and don't tell me it doesn't, because we coddle the fact that Nintendo has trouble building HD games and blah. Well, they're spending their time making HD remakes and remasters. Isn't that a resource? Isn't that taking away?
Yeah, somebody's making Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, adding new content, and I mean,
that takes.
I'm guessing it's Monolith Soft's helping, but I don't know.
It takes man hours.
I personally never had a problem with video game remakes or remasters. It makes it easier for me to play it in these newer platforms. They clean it up and stuff, but it's just, I just think for this specifically, I think it's just because we don't know much, and if they do come true, if this does come true, it's almost just like, man, it's more cheering for older games, and it's just like, man,
it's
easy.
It's the Federation Force problem, where people wouldn't care if you got a new game in the series. You wouldn't care about the remaster, but because you aren't getting a new game in that series and you're just getting the remaster, that's what creates the problem.
I think this one's beyond that.
Federation Force is a new game,
and that's true. People don't want that. It wasn't what they wanted. They wanted.
It wasn't a Metroid game.
I think it's because it's a little different because Odyssey, 2.5 years ago, it's an amazing game. They added some stuff, not that much for me to go back and play it, but it hasn't been that long for a Mario game. But I think the thing is it's just because of all the other ports and really the lack of, like, I keep seeing this excuse popping up recently. Well, Sony only have to make 1 or 2 first party games a year, which isn't true. They put out a bunch, but people, 4 or 5 sometimes, but people don't care about the Dreams and the tearaway type games, or even Days Gone.
So Sony's the standard now, by the way.
But I'm just saying, But
I know. Well,
that doesn't
people making that argument.
Yeah, we're judging Nintendo on Nintendo. We're not judging them on Sony or Microsoft. I mean, it's like their history supporting 2 systems is I don't expect a game every month, but
no.
To have one, I mean, it's a big game for sure. It's going to be a massive seller. The last 2 games, Pokemon and Animal Crossing, probably both be in the top 3 lifetime game sales on the Switch when it's all said and done. I have no real doubt about that. So I mean, it's a huge game for Nintendo, but the fact that it's Tokyo Mirage Sessions before it, Xenoblade remaster after it, and like Retro made a good point. We don't know what else is coming. These Mario games might just be the icing on a cake to a stellar second half of the year. We don't know.
Yeah, but this isn't the first time we've had this reaction. Remember, before Switch came out, it was all this enhanced ports from Wii U. Like everybody was losing their minds about that. So
it's like, yeah, we had a great original Mario game on the Switch. So in that vein, I don't care about games. And if it's the 35th anniversary, I can see them doing something. But I guess it depends on what they actually do and how they price it, and what you get, and what these games are. That's really going to be the main deciding factor. But
yeah, because it's just, I'm thinking like, if we got a new Paper Mario, that's awesome. So it just depends on what their other lineup is. If it happens to be where you get maybe 2 new games and then just a bunch of these Mario remasters, as amazing as those games are, just in the end of the day, they're just not newer games, and it will look like a lackluster year, in their 3rd year. It's gonna be weird,
Even something like Star Fox Zero. Like Star Fox Zero came out. Technically it's a new game, but my biggest problem with it was not the controls. That was a lot of people's problem with it. My biggest problem was it just felt so samey. It felt so much like a reimagining of Star Fox 64, mm-hmm. which it basically was. That was my problem with it. So even when you get a new game, we gotta. It has to be a new game, Like it has to be its own thing. I'm gonna get into it. I'm gonna get into it with a video basically going into it, but fuck was my my point here. So
the new games.
When you make these remasters and whatnot, I mean, there's a lot of nuances, and there's my word again, I love that word, nuances, that go into whether I'm going to be excited about it or not. Like a lot of people are like, I haven't played that game before. Well, great. That's good for you. I'm glad that you'll have an opportunity to play it in an enhanced version at that point. But I'm speaking for me, like I know these games so well. Like for me to be excited about going through them again is just not going to be a thing. I'm happy that other people get to play them that haven't had a chance to do so.
So what would you rather have?
Also, it's like at what point do you draw the line of pleasing people that never played previous games? You know what I'm saying?
And that's another thing. It's like if you're a gamer and you're a Nintendo fan and you've never played Mario Sunshine, I'm gonna have to check your card on that. Like that's kind of crazy to me. Like if you say if you're a Nintendo fan who's a Mario fan, let me fix that because I know people will jump on my head. Yeah. You're a Nintendo fan who's a Mario fan and you haven't played Mario Sunshine at this point, like I have to check you on that. Like, so you were waiting around all this time until they re-released it? Like, what if they never did? Like,
I agree.
I just don't understand that.
If you haven't even played like the best Mario at this point, like I can't help you either.
Yeah, like I can't. I don't.
So what would you rather have?
That might seem mean, but you can go buy a used console for what can get a GameCube for now? $35.
Yes.
And then so here's the thing. You buy that GameCube for $35 and you buy a copy of Sunshine or whatever. I don't know what it is, maybe another $30. They seem to upcharge the first party stuff. even to this day. So you spend $65, right? It doesn't end there for you. Now it's opened up, actually. Now you have access to more stuff, more legacy stuff that you can go touch on. So it's not just you spent $65 and tax for Mario Sunshine HD for Switch, and that's it. That's all you get. But you buy a GameCube and Mario Sunshine on GameCube, you have access to more stuff now. So there's more value in buying that older system.
And I would just tell people, if you've never played Mario 64, and you don't want to find a N64, you could even get it on Wii. I don't know how long the eShop.
Is it on Wii still, or
probably the eShop's probably closed?
You can't get it on Wii.
Wii U, maybe.
You can get it on Wii U. You can still get it on Wii U.
But either way,
I've posted before. I've seen big YouTubers, big Nintendo centric YouTubers who, until the Switch, I remember tweeted about it. And they were like, "Yeah, this is the first time I played Super Mario Kart. Yeah, this is the first time I played FC on a first. This is the first time I played Pilot Wings." I'm like, how many Nintendo consoles have come past? Now, don't get me wrong. Some people will, for the most part, completely, miss these games and won't have the opportunity to go back and play them. It happens. We can't play every single game. It happens. But when I see, people with like millions, like 1 million subscribers, completely Nintendo centric, harping on all day, every day about these franchises. I want these franchises back. I want these ones back. Blah 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 blah. And then haven't played the originals, but begging for them to, to come back. I just, with all the consoles we had, sometimes it just baffles my mind.
Yeah.
It really does.
Here's the thing, because I wanted to make the comparison where it's like, well, if you want to, watch an old movie, you can go back and watch that. But obviously, our new devices for movie viewing allow you to do that. So you don't have to go out. You don't have to go out and buy a VCR to watch Raiders of the Lost. You know what I'm saying? So there's options. So it's easier to do that. But if you're truly a fan of something, like if I went to film school, so if I went in there and I'm like, I haven't watched any movies before 2005, they probably would have gave me my money back and kicked me out of school. Like, if you really care enough, you find ways to enjoy what you like. I like film photography. That's not an easy thing to do today, film photography. But you know what? If you like it enough, you find ways to do it. And that's just how I feel about it.
Yeah, I'm just talking about the people. Like, some people won't have the urge or desire to want to go back and play some games.
They won't even want to go back. So I was going to get to that too. They don't even want to go back. Like, that's why I have a lot of issues with some younger folks today. As when we talk about music and film and stuff like that. Well, I'm just like, you can't have an appreciation for something if you don't go back and follow the history of it. You can't have a true appreciation for music, hip hop, if you never sat down and listened through a Notorious Big album or a Tupac album all the way through. And you're going to tell me I love hip hop? It just doesn't work for me.
Well, here's the difference though with a lot of that. Like you said, you can buy the Indiana Jones movies on Blu-ray because they keep re-releasing them.
Right.
So this is gonna get to something I said months and months ago that I got you guys didn't agree with me. I don't know how any other way to say it. This is where Nintendo needs to keep their some kind of online user where it stays true to you no matter what you do. Your next system, gamertag, whatever you want to call it, username, and every purchase you made, every digital purchase, bring back a virtual console. These games don't need to be re-released every fucking time they put a new system out. They could just do it right the first time, make a system, a virtual console that's easy to transfer from next system to next system. So when you buy Mario 64, you're playing the original game. It just upscales to whatever the resolution of the system it's on. And you don't have to worry about or wait for a remake. You don't have to try to find an N64 with a good controller and buy a copy of Mario 64, because to me that idea is the idea to try to find an N64 working controller and buy Mario 64 to play a game you might be interested in, to me is just absolutely ridiculous to expect somebody like my nephew or Robert, even Robert's age, to go out and do that. They're not going to do that unless
Robert's age. I mean, I can't give you a pass.
Some people might, but why should they have to go out and buy?
When Nintendo have to listen to how you're phrasing
when
that.
Nintendo has the virtual console, they had it. They already had the way for people to play these games, and they just didn't make it in a way where it could transfer over. Like I don't expect anybody to try to find a old Atari to go to play like Tanks or whatever, like or Pitfall. Just that.
Well, you don't have to, because you can buy a plug and play that has all those games on it.
Yeah, so it's just like
right now
for Nintendo's. Because they've already did it once with the virtual console, that's what I'm saying. They should have found they should find a way to keep that going.
I think we agreed on that, and that this is all this stuff I'm saying right now is basically a preview of my damn video, because this is like right out of my notes. I wrote this down. I was like, all these people that are hooping and hollering for remakes and whatnot, and we just defended Sony. We made Sony look better. Nintendo's making Sony look better than them, and I don't like that. And now I have to do the same for Microsoft. So I can right now on my Xbox One go back and play original Xbox games enhanced. So you're getting that remastered version basically for Elder Scrolls. Like Elder Scrolls on Xbox One, the enhancements are almost night and day. Like the game looks so much better, runs so much better. And you know what? I didn't have to go out and wait for a remaster of that game.
Mm-hmm.
I have my original copy of it. I put it in my current gen console, and it enhances it for no cost at all. You have Nintendo, where we've been for years, I know I have, registering games through my account on Nintendo. They know I bought this stuff. I have the code for it. Why can't I just take my registration and say, instead of them pumping out a $60 game to me, let the Switch enhance my game that I already bought, and let me download the version or whatever, and do it that way. Is that something you would be against, Nintendo fans? Like, is that something that would make you upset?
We've essentially.
I don't think it would.
Club Nintendo on the GameCube, because when I had the GameCube and the Game Boy Advance, I worked in a video game shop at the time. Those consoles were out, and people would trade in their secondhand games, or I'd buy new games, or whatever. And inside there, you had that little slip. You go onto the Nintendo Club Nintendo, your email address.
Yeah, I've been doing it for decades.
And you get the points, and you build those points in order to get free stuff. So essentially, they knew then, for the most part, that this email address had either got the code for this game, or they would like to think had purchased this game. Right, and since then, and then we rolled into the DS and the Wii. We had our online accounts there. Where we're buying all our virtual console stuff. And then it just, it's just.
It's not going to happen, but like, wouldn't that be consumer friendly? Why is Microsoft beating Nintendo, the class personified when it comes to customer service?
I mean,
because you mentioned the thing, because that's what I wanted to say. You have even small companies, like THQ and shit, and Nordic, that barely got out of like bankrupt. They went through some dark shit. Even when you buy, like, when you have the original first Darksiders, for example, they release the War Master, the new ones, you get them for free with all the DLC and shit, because you have the old game. Like, there's no reason companies as big as Nintendo wouldn't do the same thing.
Right. We nearly got there with the Wii U. Even if we paid £1, freaking
$50,
whatever it was, in order to get it on our Wii U, on our home screen, to have Miiverse access, they knew we bought it, and they said, "Oh, you want to upgrade on your game? Yeah, there's a small fee, but
exactly,
we're going to do it this way." Yeah, there was a small fee, but at least they were going in that direction. And like I said, we've come full circle, because I feel like going in circles again, because this is what we've been ranted about, ever since we lost all of this from the Wii U.
Right.
We've been ranting about it, and other
we're the only ones that seem to care about what we lost.
Yeah, I know other companies, have gone to the next level, in terms of just saying, right, you pretty much got this one console now, everything works in it.
Yeah.
Because we've, Microsoft got the advantage in
and they're future proofing it. Your Xbox One games are going to be enhanced as well on the next console, and you already have them, and it's for free.
Yeah, and they were in a better position because they put themselves there,
Yeah.
and
they
they've
use the same
only had
format.
CD consoles. Yeah, they've always had the same format, which is
discs.
great.
They always had discs. So.
For Nintendo, we were happy to accept the Virtual Console, buy our old games, and then keeping them in our library.
Yeah, that was the start of something, at least.
Yeah, and we had it on the Wii. We were like, great. Hope this rolls over to the Wii U. It pretty much did because the Wii U was fully backwards compatible. We transferred our stuff. That's how it works for them, and then we upgraded it if we wanted to. If we wanted to.
You went to Wii mode.
So we still had it. But it's just like I said, it's we're banging our heads against walls, and then when we hear stuff about these remakes again, and we're just like, okay, we all love a good remake for when it's warranted. We all love great remakes when they're warranted, and when they work, they are just as glorious sometimes as brand new games. Depending on the game. But I just feel like where we are with the Switch in general, where some of us feel that we've had our bombardment of Wii U ports. We're getting all these third-party games which are just ports from all the last generation again, saying, "Oh, guess what? It's the first time it's on the Nintendo platform, guys. Buy it again." Yeah. And we feel bombarded with it all to breaking point where we're just like, just give us.
And I'm so confused because usually the old folks are the ones that want to keep playing or keep wanting to have the same old stuff. So I'm expecting young people, I want something new. I want something new all the time. I want, they have, they grew up in a push button society where they can, push a button and get everything they want. So I'm so confused by this, hearing it from younger people saying, "Oh, this is great. This is wonderful." Like, I should be the one saying, "Oh yeah, just give me all my old shit again." Like I should be the nostalgia guy. I'm the one who's supposed to be the nostalgia guy, and you guys are.
Like, all right, so we gotta talk about the Nintendo Direct Mini a bit too before talking about the Nintendo's H1 first half of 2020 and how we feel about it.
We're gonna go back.
We've already talked a lot about that, but
yeah,
kind of, yeah.
I guess if you just want to give final thoughts on this, now that we know Nintendo's first half kind of fully painted for us, like or not on display here. We know what's coming until I think the last official date was sometime in July. I don't remember what game that was. Not just Nintendo games, but just
in general, Catherine, I think was July.
Oh, yeah. So the Switch as a whole, first half 2020, Nintendo by themselves, first half 2020. How you guys feeling? Since Terrell, you haven't said much, and I know you have some different opinions on some stuff. What do you think of Switch's first half of 2020 overall, and then Nintendo specifically?
So this is specifically only on Nintendo's, not just the Switch in general.
The Switch in general and just Nintendo. So two separate.
If we were doing the Switch in general, it's fine. It's been worse. And then if we're talking Nintendo specifically, not great. We only really have I think if we're talking Nintendo games, it's like what? Xenoblade, Animal Crossing, if you count the ports of Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
Good Job, I think, is made by them.
I guess Good Job.
Yeah.
I mean, they're ending. That's part of the reason why I would say the Switch as a whole is fine. It's primarily because of the indies and some of the ports. Whether or not you value them is up to your discretion, but I still think it's nice to have those games on the system, especially if they've never come to a Nintendo system before. But it's not going to take it to like an oh my god amazing level. Like if we had a good first half, it would be like a cherry on top. It would be like the icing or cherry on top of a cake. In this situation, it makes the pound cake you get from like Kroger taste a little bit better than it normal. And like I said, I like pound cake.
Oh, that's very specific.
Well, let me point this out because I tallied up the announcements, including the sizzle reel.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, last gen ports. There's 5, and I count BioShock, even though the collections was new this gen.
You count each individual game.
I just counted the collection by itself as 1, but I counted that as a last gen port. So there's 5. There is 9 late ports of games that are this current gen, but are coming to Switch way later than other systems. There's 2 remasters. There's 2 remakes, counting the Mr. Driller, because that title existed before in another game. And this,
Yeah.
5 DLCs or updates, and then 6 new games, which new is relative. Is a game that's coming out in 2020 that didn't come out in a previous year. So, but a couple of those, like Good Job. I can't, I did this that day, and I don't remember. I know that that underwater game was iOS mobile game. I think I put that in the late port one, so I don't remember what. I don't remember what the 6 new games are. Not that there were new announcements, but games that are coming out in 2020 that haven't come out at any time before. And I think it was Ninjala, Good Job, Bravely Default 2. So there were 6 of those. So I mean, it heavily favors older games.
Yeah, my the whole reason why I don't, the Switch as a whole, I'm not really that negative on, granted, it's my personal opinion. It's partially because I will be buying some of those games anyway on Switch. But I do recognize that ports aren't don't add up to like a whole number jump. Like if we were doing this out of 10, and let's say we were at like a 6, it's not like the ports of BioShock is going to bump it up to like a 7 or a 7.5. But it's still something, and it's something that people, including myself, are interested in. But I do recognize that Nintendo's first party output has not been great. Although, like I said, I feel like we've had worse. That's why I said it's fine. I mean, it's mediocre. I mean, so there.
All right, so Robert, what's your grading for the first half of 2020?
Oh man, yeah, but I mean, just because you got Animal Crossing, bro, that shit makes it an A+. Just because I count it as, I mean, yeah, it technically comes out in March and we're still March, but that's that game.
So you think one game, no matter
one game, just
enough?
like Breath of the Wild in 2017, if that all came out, just how like everyone's like one game could take a console. That's that one game, just like that's Breath of the Wild for me. You know what I'm saying? Also, so I would say, yeah, that one game holds up the whole first half. It's like it's got some jacked animals right underneath, just holding it strong. That honestly, like that's generally how.
What do you feel about the Switch's lineup minus the Nintendo games? What do you think about third parties and indies for
half? I mean, it's almost. I like some of the indies. The indies are looking, some of them are looking pretty nice. You know, the indie world is some that are looking pretty nice, but a lot of them are just. I remember them saying 2020, so we don't know. We don't even know. That's not even first half. So as for first half, it's looking pretty empty. Without for in terms of like third party, because you get the older ports, but I mean, I'm not looking to rebuy Borderlands because I already have Borderlands on the 360 and I'm gonna play that one of these times. But like in terms of like these other ones, I don't know. I don't think I need to pick them out. I don't think they add to it. I don't think any, like, it has to be new. And
all right, let's get down the line.
Animal Crossing.
Clocked it. What's your take?
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I mean, without Animal Crossing, goddamn, I think this first half would be in trouble. And Animal Crossing, as big as it is, it's still for certain type of people, So, but it is a big game for them, and I can understand it coming out in March. And I agree with what Rob says. It can cover those a few months, but the fact that it's only just come out now. Is we had to wait a bit, but there's nothing to. I mean, we're waiting now till May, June, and July, really, aren't we? In terms of really any news or any other games. I mean, and then that's our first big one is another remake. Even though I'll be getting it. As another remake. I'm bored to death with all the late gen ports. I'm Retro knows me. I'm a huge Borderlands fan, but I own Borderlands 2 on the PlayStation 3, on the Xbox 360, and on the PC. I own Borderlands 1 on the PC and the Xbox 360, and I haven't played what was it? The pre-sequel. I haven't played that. I played the Bioshocks to death. Don't need to play them again. So I'm not interested in those things. Marvel vs. Alliance, I didn't get it, but it's nice to have DLC for that. The Shinseki underwater game, it looks alright. A little rough around the edges, but it looks okay. But I think I done a video not long ago where I was just like, third-party exclusives for Nintendo consoles are pretty much dead at the moment. They just pretty much don't exist. But luckily, later on this year, we seem to be getting Bravely Default 2, which
that looks good.
I played the demo, and when I was inside the city and stuff, I just loved the art style. Absolutely blew me away. I thought it was gorgeous. And then there's some other stuff, like the free-to-play Ninjala or whatever. One random game they dropped was Star Wars Pod Racer, or, Star Wars Racer, like the old PC N64 game. Not done up at anything, just like, hey, here's an N64 game. Boom. It's just like, what the hell?
You ever think that Jedi game looked like absolute trash? I don't even know what system that launched on.
The Jedi Academy, yeah, it's got to have online and stuff. I mean, it is what it is.
And I didn't realize the new Shantae game was coming out in May till just now.
Yeah, but that's another May game.
But that wasn't shown in the direct. I don't think that was shown in the indie showcase either. But
I mean, they dropped the Panzer Dragoon remake, and you think I'd be really happy about it, but I'm completely not, and I haven't bought it yet.
Somebody pointed out the fact that the dragon moves up and down so much, kind of.
Dude, it's just
why did they do that?
Yeah, I'm not even gonna review it. I'm gonna do a completely different video take on.
It's so slow and so.
Yeah, on just that in total. But are we getting we're getting another remake actually, Trials of Mana. Isn't that April or something?
It's April, yeah.
And then we saw Burnout Paradise. Now
that just said 2020.
Yeah, in terms of racing games on the Switch, I think this will be the best racing game on the Switch. I love Burnout Paradise. Some people didn't like it as much as Burnout 2 or 3, but I think Burnout Paradise is the best Burnout game in my opinion. But still, it's another port, and it's an EA game, and I'm just like, so right now, God, I'm playing Animal Crossing and on my Switch, and that's it.
All right, so my take.
I did forget to bring up the Ninjala, but Ninjala's pretty cool.
I did mention Ninjala. I said it was free to play.
It looks interesting,
Robert. I totally forgot about it, but yeah, that comes out in June, right? That's technically. So
I'm worried that it's free to play. That worried me. I thought it was going to be a full-fledged game.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It does actually look okay. Don't expect it to be Splatoon level, but
yeah.
Well, I mean, I played at E3. It was pretty cool, but like,
we'll see. I don't even plan on downloading it, but so when I look at
dismissed,
when I look at the first half, all around, I know, Terrell, I know you have the other systems you have PS4 and PC, so you're in the same kind of situation as I am, but it's like I look at these games, and I know third parties, we've never had a BioShock game on a Nintendo system, and technically the collection, if you're going to bring old games, bring a collection. I've always said that. It's $50, sucks you have to download, which that one isn't as bad. That's a whole different discussion, but anyway, I'm looking at it less like, hey, first time BioShock's on the system. I'm looking at what other games are coming out from third parties on the other systems, and I'm just like, in comparison, it's borderline embarrassing to me to think about, especially the last 2 years, what third party games have come to Switch versus the other systems, where we're in, two of my top 2 games of the year were Resident Evil 2 and Control. Games like that, nowhere to be found. We're getting Resident Evil 3. We got, last year got Devil May Cry 5. Switch gets Devil May Cry 3 or Devil May Cry 1 ports. It's like, Borderlands 3 just comes out. Was that last year? And, Nintendo
September.
Never had a Borderlands game, but still, the Switch is a current gen console. In some of these games, I understand maybe like the collections and stuff, that's a cool thing on top of other stuff. But at the same time, it's like, Borderlands 1 and 2 and the prequel, and then versus Borderlands 3. That's very Wii U like to me. Like,
yeah, Borderlands 3 should have been there.
It's like, oh, you got
no reason. I don't believe Borderlands 3 can't run on the Switch. Come on,
it's the cartridge, man.
And it's just like that's how I'm viewing this. And almost every game that's coming out this year is an older game that's been out previously, or this first half of the year. Animal Crossing's the obvious new one, but the most exciting game, and I'm not even planning on buying it for the first half on a Nintendo system, is Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. And I agree with T. Like, you got to look at each one of these types of games on their own merits, and you're right. It had a late, weird release on Wii, then it was exclusive to the new 3DS, and then the Wii U got version, but the Wii U was a failure. So I don't have any problem whatsoever, and it looks like what they're doing to the game is the right way to do a remaster and add content, tie it in better to Xenoblade Chronicles 2. That's the best thing for me. I wish I was an Animal Crossing fan. I gave it a try on 3DS. I really wanted to. Give it a chance, and it's just not the type of game for me. But I can't discredit it completely just because I don't like it. So they got out a huge game, which is something they haven't done since Breath of the Wild, as far as in the first few months of the year. So I got to give them some credit there. But then when you follow that up with a Wii U port, a remaster that looks like it's done pretty well. It looks like they did the right things. It's sucks that it's $60 when you got other companies charging less, but whatever. That's a different topic. So I can't say it's absolutely terrible what Nintendo's put out in the first half of the year. I think they've done an okay job. But when I look back at 2018, like that was way worse because the two games that came out in the first half weren't great. Actually, in the first 3/4 of the year weren't great. So it's definitely better. But overall, this like the third parties and all that, I'm just continuing to see. Some people, what did somebody say? Playing catch up. These third parties playing catch up.
I've said that. I've said it.
No, somebody said it, and Visor Grunt just said it.
Oh, okay.
And I get that, but at the same time, this is the most popular system right now. We've seen games. Current gen games.
I don't think Visor's using that as a excuse. Though.
No,
I think he's making.
He just
fun.
used that term. I just don't see getting the BioShock collection, the Borderlands collection, instead of Borderlands 3. That's what I don't like. So to me, I'd say it's piss poor overall first half of the year. Other than Nintendo's done it, they got out a big game and they got a decent look, remaster. It looks like it's going to be pretty good. So,
for me,
what's your grade?
I don't have an actual grade, but piss poor for the overall. That's my grade.
All I'm gonna say as far as I just want to quickly say, like, I guess it's because I know the way I look at the third party situation with Switch. I already knew this is what it was going to be, primarily because it's a lot of. I don't know if I would still call it distrust. If I would call it more like paranoia or something like. It's obviously at the point now where they're like it's easier to do these ports.
Are you sure it's easier to do the BioShock or the Borderlands collection versus Borderlands 3 though? You sure?
Yeah.
Based on
I think so.
Yeah, it's easier and it's a safer bet.
I don't see that.
I don't
because just to port a game and 3 games and make sure they work and make like that. If they still holds true that it's a like Miyamoto or somebody said it's about $1 million to port a game to the Switch back in the day. He said something like that.
That was for Wii U.
Was that Wii U?
I don't think that's. I don't think that's a cost. I don't think that's the cost on Switch. I don't.
I just.
I think also we need to remember this is a developer thing as well, because if it was easier and made more sense, then people like CG Projekt Red would have ported The Witcher 2 Enhanced Edition for the 360 or something.
Right, they didn't do that.
They make the effort.
So
Go on.
No, I was just gonna say because I mentioned the Borderlands thing before. So for me, the first half, like I gotta agree with Robert for Nintendo. It's an A+. Like slam dunk, home run, hands down, and shit. And just because of Animal Crossing,
that's some biased bullshit.
Yeah,
that's some biased bullshit right there.
As long as you're honest about it, I don't care, man.
It's shameless bias, and I will always admit that I don't care.
As long as he's honest about the bias, I don't care.
No,
but when it comes to the other stuff, though, I'm the guy, one of the first people who said that I've always wanted Borderlands 2 on a Nintendo system, but when they dropped the last trailer of Borderlands 3, I was like, because I said like, for Beyond Good and Evil, I'm like, okay, certain games they're not gonna fucking run on the Switch, I don't care. But Borderlands 3, there's no fucking reason that game isn't on the Switch right now. With how much time they put into that, with the fact that Switch is in year 3 now, and it's
Year 4.
I mean, it's still just cell shaded and shit. You can downgrade Borderlands 3 enough that it still look extremely fucking good. Like the way they did with Doom. There's no excuse that they put all these Borderlands, and I'm happy Borderlands 2 is on. I wanted that for so fucking long. But there's no excuse. Borderlands 3 isn't on there. So when it comes to third parties, I feel like we're on a downward slope where the shit will go. I mean, it's steep. Where the fuck is steep? I mean, come on. At this point, who still cares? But there was all these third-party games that are just stopped doing shit. Because Bethesda was still doing shit and still bringing shit. But apart from that, everybody else is just, you know what? Let's not put this effort in. Let's just throw all this old shit on there and we'll wait and see. And I feel like the third parties are just really slowing down.
And I just want to say this is all this shit about, it takes this and that and that. Is all bullshit excuses. You know why? Because EA put every goddamn Call of Duty game on the DS. So fuck off with all these excuses. Get out of my face. I don't want to hear it. Call of Duty on the DS.
Did EA own Call of Duty?
No, Activision.
Sorry, Activision.
No, that's Activision, yeah.
And the
Wii. You know my point is. They put every... Yeah, so I don't want to hear it. They put them on the Wii, the DS, all at the same goddamn time, along with the other consoles. So get out of my face with these excuses.
Online, everything.
Yeah, I don't want to hear this shit.
No,
I know better. You should know better too. Stop making these excuses for these companies.
When they announced,
they just are not doing it because they're lazy shits. They're making more money than they've ever made. These assholes. With the DLC, fucking EA makes billions of dollars in DLC alone. So I don't want to hear these excuses anymore.
EA's losing money though. Just throwing that out there. EA's still losing money even with the money they're management. But well, that's the point. But the point I'm making, because listen.
But it's not about what they, what can and can't go on Switch, and that's what I'm saying.
It's not. I never said that they couldn't do it.
No, I'm not saying you said that.
No. I want to make that clear because, I know Retro went into the whole thing about Borderlands 3. I never made the claim that they couldn't run on the Switch. I have no doubt in my mind you can make any game run with enough money and effort. You can make any fucking game run. Hey, actually using T's example, if you can make Call of Duty work on the DS, at that point.
And it wasn't like it was different, obviously,
that
because
one had to be compromised. The Wii
but still, the DS had no fucking analog sticks whatsoever, and it has Call of Duty games.
What about just
same name and everything from the other version.
My thought process was always, I know how third parties are, and I know how third parties have been with Nintendo. And after the fucking, because even the Wii had its fuckery, but the Wii I didn't care as much because the Wii was getting so many unique experiences.
Right.
I could tolerate not getting certain games. The Wii U in a lot of ways was pure fuckery on
but the Wii U got more current gen games than the Switch has gotten in 3 years. I mean, that's just fact.
But it only came in the first year.
Those first 2 years.
First 2 years.
2 years. What did we get in
the first year was from launch to 2013. We still got.
What did we get from 2013 to 2014?
Well, I meant the first two holidays. My bad.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, okay. I was saying because I know.
But either way, it got more, and there's no excuse for I don't know that. I mean, is there? I mean, maybe everyone else agrees differently or thinks differently, but. You still there's still work has to be done to put the Borderlands 1 and 2 and the prequel on the Switch. They still have to spend money. To say that, I don't know that it's any, I don't know how much less. I mean, I don't know why it would be much less.
It's an easier investment because what would sell more, the third game or a collection of the
third game?
No,
the third game.
You think that
collections they never sell more than a new game.
And this particular example, Borderlands 3 sold like fucking crazy.
Borderlands 3 sold really well. They should at least announce that it's coming if you're gonna release these old ones, say, hey, before Borderlands 3 comes out, play the collection.
Yeah, but they'd rather have a little monologue, a little trailer just saying 2K loves.
Yeah, we love the Switch. And let's not forget about the 42 gigabyte in download you have to do to play Borderlands.
That's fuckery in its own right. Yeah,
I don't even think Borderlands 3 would.
It wouldn't surprise me if Nintendo's eating costs on some of that. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
That's a whole nother discussion for a whole.
Because I think they've done that for certain other games. But that's besides the point.
My
whole thing is that because we don't know how much of this is just the developer making the decision, or if that's Nintendo and the developer working out a deal, or what. I don't expect, unfortunately, to get a lot of these, at least depending on the developer. Like Capcom, I'm Sports.
So you don't expect they'll take the time to put a Borderlands collection, but you don't expect Borderlands 3.
I'm not saying I don't expect it eventually, but like if you ask me what would we get from 2K involving Borderlands on the Switch, if you had asked me this before any announcement, I would have probably told you a port of the first few games. That would have been my initial response. And why? Because that's what a lot of the fucking developers have done. They've done ports of their older games, some of them in worse ways, like Capcom. Well, Capcom at least has collections of some of the Resident Evil ones. But the fucking Devil May Cry nonsense where there's a collection in Japan, but we get the single games in America, or the weird shit with Monster Hunter. It's a terrible situation that just kind of shows the greed of a third party and maybe some
I feel like Nintendo's modeling their strategy after Capcom. Re-releasing as many old games as possible. It's kind of the Capcom motto. They've done it every generation.
I wouldn't say it's the same thing. I get where you're going, but I'm saying I don't classify it as the same thing. But I can understand why you would say that. I'm just saying that's just how
the difference is
I personally feel about it.
Capcom's not putting the new games they're making on the Switch and just putting them on other systems, and then they're just putting on only the old games. But who hasn't gone yet for their take on the first half? T? I feel like you didn't go yet.
I haven't gone. While I love Animal Crossing, I ain't gonna be no biased ass bitch.
But it's not even biased. It's like the Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, but with Breath of the Wild, we also had ARMS.
I don't quite agree with that analogy either.
No, please.
They're very different games. Breath of the Wild was very different.
Don't compare the Breath of the Wild. Don't do that, please.
Bro, I'm comparing it to as in a massive game to another massive.
But I think we still, even most of us still said that Nintendo didn't have much. Their launch lineup didn't have much. That. And they didn't have a whole lot other than...
Which means it's trash, right, SK Massive?
And then ARMS, and then it was like... The second half had some more games, but anyway. Splatoon 2 was July, so that was second half. But anyway, T, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm going to give them a C. Because, they are releasing little smaller games. They're publishing them, and I don't know if they're developing or not. Like, stuff like... what's the game? Good Job and the board game collection, which I know I'm going to have a lot of fun with. I forgot about that. The club. There's a bunch of games in there I'm totally going to play. So, like I said, Xenoblade Chronicles, I give slight pass because it hasn't had that poor game hasn't had an official full-on real release for any console yet. Like I said, with the Wii,
well, in Japan,
it was a disjointed release.
Came out normal.
Well, yeah, I just meant worldwide. And 3DS was only new 3DS, and there was tens of millions of people who had a 3DS who couldn't play that game. So this is going to be the full first, the first time it has a full-on, everybody can play it who has the system release without, only having to go to GameStop to get it, or it's only playable on a certain Switch system, that kind of thing. So I give it slight pass, and they did add new content to it, so that's great. So I'm going to give them a C for this part of the year, for this half.
How do you feel about everything else that's coming out to the system?
I don't know. I don't know what's coming out.
As far as third parties,
as far as everybody else outside of Nintendo. Mm-hmm. Oh yes, what you're saying. Like for me, Borderlands and a BioShock would have been bigger had they all fit on the damn cartridge. And I heard somebody recently, I don't know who I was listening to, maybe it was GameStop or whatever, they just basically conceded. They're like, looking at maybe it was IGN, looking at Borderlands and the BioShock collection. At this point, you could just chalk up the Nintendo Switch as a system you're going to be downloading games for.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, I'm not conceding to that shit at all. Because one of the big things that excited me about the Switch was that I'm going to get cartridges again.
And you have to install nothing like.
I didn't have to install anything. And I was expecting them to play faster, to load faster. That hasn't really been a thing, right? I mean, maybe over the Wii U they load faster.
But comparable games that release the few games
on other
that have released
systems
on PS4 versus Switch, the load times are usually worse on Switch because of all
they're
the compression.
Usually worse.
They have to decompress the file before it can load it. So
it hasn't stood up to that for me. And again, like I can't get overly excited for old games because I've ran through them already, and that's just going to be my thing. If you haven't, and these games are new to you, that is fantastic. I wish I was in that boat. I'm not, so I can't pretend.
Just to stay on the subject before we move to questions, is I understand like the BioShock collection because there's no new BioShock game that's come out recently. Like that's it for BioShock. That's the 3 games. Put them out. Nintendo owners have never had. I get it. I don't really have that big of a problem with that. But then when you put out a collection, when you just had a new game come out late last year and skip the Switch and like, oh, I'll play these old games. But maybe the story-wise, maybe some people will be like, well, I need to play 1 and 2 before I play 3. And a retro's big on that kind of stuff. And it depends on the game. I guess it's relevant or not. But, I would think an announcement like that would hold a lot more excitement if it came with, well, Borderlands 3 is coming out later this year, but catch up with Borderlands 1 and 2. That would soften the blow, kind of like Bayonetta 3 announced right after the ports of Bayonetta 1 and 2 to Switch. So I think like each release has nuance to it. Like I got to look at different. I can't just put a blanket statement out there that hey, this all ports, all remasters, everything's crap, but at the same time it's getting so past the point of it's like this gen, if you count this the same with, it's technically a gen later than PS4 and Xbox One, but it's just been third parties re-releasing all their previous gen games because of a lack of backwards compatibility, which is what the Switch is too, so. But anyway, let's get to some questions and see what we got, because I know we had a few left last week. I tried to ask this a few times, but we kept talking about something else. From Dave97, apparently Steam and Xbox have digital refunds. What will it take for Sony and Nintendo to implement digital refunds? I don't know how the digital refund system works on those.
It's time-based.
Is it like
you
24 hours?
Amount of time to 24 to 48, I think.
I do think some governments, including the UK government, are trying to push it to be law.
Yeah.
So they might not have an option soon. So see how
that still won't happen here, though. We can forget about that shit in America.
Yeah, because I mean, if after playing Ori and the Will of the Wisps on Xbox, if I would have known that, I probably would have just give me my refund. I'll buy it on Steam.
Yeah. And it's only fair for you to be able to do that because the game doesn't work as it's supposed to. So how you should be able to get your damn money back for that.
There are some people who would play it 24 hours and beat it and try to return it. So
of course. Well, the weirdos.
I guess they could track the time, track how much time you put into it.
For Steam and for an Xbox,
right? That's another thing. They can track your time too. So,
what were you saying, Robert?
For Steam and Xbox, it's 2 hours of play time or less. Then you can.
Okay. There you go.
Like
that
if
makes
you put
sense.
hours, you have to keep it.
I don't know that. I think Sony might adopt it eventually because they kind of just follow suit with what other companies do that people like. I don't think Nintendo would ever do that, but who knows? All right. Oh, wow. What are your thoughts on remakes to original games on either PS1 or N64, and how do you think companies should have with these remakes? I was going to ask you, and I kept... just talking about Mario 64, we mentioned it real quickly. Just real quick, Teak, I wanted to ask you first, how would you want them to handle if they just said, you know what, we're going to re-release Mario 64 or one of your favorite Nintendo 64 games, how would you want them to do it? Just clean it up native resolution and have the original game, or would you want them to dial it up but have it play it identically? Like, if they asked you your opinion on how to do it, what would you tell them?
Again, there's certain games that, because if you do too much of Mario 64, it's not Mario 64. You know what I'm saying? So, at the end of the day, the most I would want them to do to that is to HD it, clean it up, clean up textures and whatnot. Don't mess with it too much outside of that, because I'm going to tell you from my experience with playing Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time 3D and Majora's Mask. Those games look better, but they went in and changed certain things. Like Ocarina of Time, I'm fine with, but what they did to Majora's Mask, some of that stuff is just I can't even play that game. I don't. You were
not the first person I've heard say that about.
Like the stuff they did to Majora's Mask is just like with the Zora, when you turn the Zora Link into swimming, it's shit. The swimming is shit.
The swimming was so beautiful.
It was so beautiful in the original. So
they
made you super slow. Like you can't do that little spin dash underwater thing.
Yeah, and they also changed the spin of the Deku Scrub. So when you
spin of the Deku Scrub, right? Like they fucked that game up. Like
it doesn't feel anywhere near as good.
I like what they did visually, texture work and all that looks great. I think that was a nice update to the game. But when you start messing with the mechanics of the game, that's when I say, well, it's not the same game anymore. So
the same thing that's happened with Panzer Dragoon remake. You
right.
fuck around with shit and it changes the whole game.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at with that. Certain games, yeah, you can remake. I think you could remake. For me anyway, I think you could remake something like Sunshine, and it would be okay because it's a modern 3D game, first of all. So you don't have to deal with a lot of the issues you would have with Mario 64.
Yeah, because
thinking
about Nintendo 64 games, like I said earlier, like now that we've had Breath of the Wild, seeing Ocarina of Time, seeing the Hyrule Field, if they just did it 1-to-1 but with better visuals, it would look so tiny and pathetic.
Right.
Like they'd almost have to scale it up, kind of, and then fill it out more. And then at that point, like, why even remaking it? But anybody else have any thoughts on how you would handle some of these older, like we've had examples of PS1 games being remade, Spyro Trilogy and the Crash Trilogy, which that one, I mean, I didn't play. I know Terrell played it. I mean, it didn't look like they did much with the controls to make it better.
No, they changed it. I've heard from
I don't know if they changed it or just that's how it's always was, but it looked like
no trash. People I know who played Crash told me, oh yeah, it doesn't feel the same as the original game.
It feels pretty close to me.
I heard it's not a huge difference, but different.
No, what they've done, the developers messed up. The developers messed up how the character places itself on the ground between a grid-based nature.
Yeah.
They were going for 1-to-1, but they messed up the character placement. So what happens is he, for example, won't be able to either can't or won't be able to slide over ledges as much as he used to. So that kind of messed up what you could actually do platform-wise for the levels. So it was just like a little. It wasn't intentional, I don't think. I think they just messed it up.
But the Spyro trilogy actually got pretty positive.
Yeah, but no,
I think it works better. It depends on the game. I think Spyro works better.
I don't hear anyone talking about Spyro.
Well, the people that played it said it was really good.
In the end, it's like personal preference. For me personally, when they remake something, I wanted like the whole fucking 9 yards. If I think of like a new Galaxy, I don't want it to look, a little bit sharper. I want depth in the fucking Galaxy, amazing grass effects, hyper shit. Make it bigger if you have to, if it needs to flow better. But I like the remakes, like I mentioned before, like what they did with DuckTales. When you don't just make it pixel-based, you make it like the fucking cartoon. What they did with like Beyond the Command is like my favorite NES game. When they remade that in like extremely beautiful 3D, they redid the music, they added some areas to make things so that they play better. That's what I'd like to see. So
what game?
The Bionic Commando, on the original NES. They made Bionic Commando Rearmed, which was the exact same game. It was extremely fucking beautiful 3D, and then they adapted it. They added some areas.
Yeah, but you could do that with a 2D side scroller.
No, but
it's going to be more dramatic when you do that with a 2D side scroller.
Yeah,
when you take but when you take a modern 3D game like a Sunshine or a Galaxy or something like that, and then you do a full-on remake, think about the resources. I'd rather have you working on Odyssey 2 than
even
doing that.
In a 3D game, you can still do the same thing. Because if I want to fucking play Mario 64, it's like what you said earlier in the beginning. I turn on a fucking 64. If people want to play the original Mario 64, buy a fucking 64. If you remake this game, which is a game I love replaying, you know, I think people like us, we replay this into death.
Yeah.
If you re-put it, I don't want to replay the same game. Give me something like a little bit extra flair, you know. Give it boost. Like the thing I had to stream on a little bit earlier, and I saw Juice was playing the Mario 64 running in Unreal. Give me that shit, you know.
Oh, I was gonna say,
give
with
me
Mario
a new
64
experience out of the old experience. That's what I like to see.
I was gonna say with Mario 64, what you could do is bump up Mario 64 DS and give it all that new stuff, the new content. That would be a cool thing because a lot of people, you know, didn't play that game. They didn't play it. They bought it, but they didn't really play through it because it was kind of weird and different, and it was hard to play on the DS because it was fucking 6 or 8 axis basically.
They tried to get
eight directional as far as
the little thumb.
Yeah, like that's not the way to do it. So if you did that, if you brought that game up to like, you know, like a 720p or 1080p resolution and made sure the frame rate was good, and then that would be something else. I think that would be a cool way to bring that game.
Let me go to Terrell.
I need what SpongeBob SquarePants is doing now.
That's what I was just gonna say. I was gonna go to Terrell and ask him.
I love that.
Does the game have to play and control exactly like you remember for that to work for you with the new visuals, or what?
That would fucking help a lot. I feel like for fans of the old, especially if the game was like regarded by fans as such a well-made, like it's hard to me, if it doesn't control the same, it fucks with the level design, because the level design was made intentionally the way it was, especially for like platforming games, for that moveset and the way you controlled. So to fuck with the controls makes certain stages way harder than they use. Essentially, that was one of the issues with Crash. Just going back to that, some of Crash's levels are harder in the remake than they used to be because they fucked up on that. And granted, and it wasn't intentional, but you know, it messes with the design. I prefer if I could get the controls as close, or either that, if you have to change the controls, change the level design to work with the new controls.
Well, I barely played that game, so I don't really give a shit what you do to it. I like how it looks now, and I'm gonna go out and buy that new version because I barely played the original one. But I always hear how people love it and how great it is, and that's why I ended up buying it. And then the minute a month after I bought it, they announced this remake of it. I'm like, bitch.
Well, for
me,
me,
that happened with I think someone on when I was looking at reactions for Xenoblade, and someone was like, fuck, I just started, like, I was 30 hours into my new playthrough and they announced this shit. And I'm like, yeah, they fucking get you. They'll get you.
So I'll ask myself the question. If Nintendo came to me and said, all right, we're making Mario 64 remake, whether you like it or not, we want you, but we're giving you a chance to guide us on the direction that it's taking. I have full faith in the 3D Mario team, if that's who's going to make it, do the remake, to start from scratch and still have Mario move exactly like you'd want him to do. You know, just keep him with the same moveset, the punching, kicking, and the triple. All the other jumps have come in basically in Odyssey, and just.
Would you want it to look like Odyssey though?
I wanted to play
64.
Have that level structure. Have it be kind of like Resident Evil 2, where it's like, this is the basis of the story, this is the basis of the level design, and here you go, build kind of a new game around that. So you got Peach's Castle, you go jump through the painting, you got to go fight the big Babamam or whatever on the top, what a king, whatever, and but don't just recreate the same hill that has the exact same, kind of size, and like I want to be like wow, like wowed by the visual style, the art style, something, whether it's completely like out there, like like Bravely Default 2, like just like looks like a, I don't know, I know how to describe that, like a painting type of
It's like
thing.
a storybook. That's
like
that's
something like that, completely wild, or make it like Odyssey.
I'd rather you reimagine it at that point. Like,
yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I would rather have. Like, oh man, I'm in the first level, and it just like, oh my god, like it blows me away. It's like not quite Breath of the Wild to Ocarina of Time, Hyrule Field kind of expansion, but just like, wow, this is like, it's still an awesome playground with all these move sets to do all this crazy stuff. Try to get up the hill however you want. That's what I, because like you guys all, a bunch of people said, if you want to play the original, you can play the original. There's ways to play Mario 64, and I'd rather just have it be. I don't want this, but if they told me that they're going to do it, that's how I would have them do
Take
it.
it to the reimagining level is what you're
yeah,
saying.
I can live with a reimagining.
Yeah,
I can live with that.
That'd be something you could definitely fuck with.
Because I want to see the underwater level just be just blown away by all like the sea life, and like the everything going on, just be like wow, and the music, orchestrated music, and more modern lighting, and and it doesn't have to look realistic, obviously. You don't have to look like Minecraft ray tracing or anything, but just be like,
and
just
change up all the Bowser fights as well, so you're not fighting the same Bowser over and over.
Something like, I mean, it really could be amazing, and it almost be like a new game, so I wouldn't mind them taking the resources and taking the team to do that. So that's how I would.
Yeah, if that my thing was, I don't just want to remake and it be the same damn game.
Don't do a Link's Awakening where you just put better visuals and keep everything else identical.
And that worked better for Link's Awakening because it was an 8-bit game, like Clock had said.
Yep. All right, so Dave97 asked, do you think the sequel to Breath of the Wild will release in 2020?
Shit.
I'm pretty doubtful at this point, but I don't.
At this point now, I'm a little bit more doubtful, but I'm still gonna hold to it and still be hopeful.
But if not, it'll be early.
Yeah, I think it'll be March 2021 because as big as this game is, they're not gonna wait to announce it in June if it's coming out in November. I don't see them waiting. Well, they already announced it, so I guess it's a little different.
They already announced it.
And they keep on calling it as well the sequel to Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
So it might not even be called Breath of the Wild at all in any shape. It's going to be called something else.
And I had to change my thinking on, because I talked about Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, and they use the same engine and whatnot, but they still, there was issues with Majora's Mask as far as it not being as expansive as it should have been, like it could have been.
And they don't want to just
they had to kind of push it out quickly. Because
you can't just
Miyamoto wanted it out in a year, and that was insane.
But you can't just have people going through the same exact world again,
same exact
with a new story.
That's one thing I don't want. It's too soon to have that.
Let's get across those unpassable cliffs and see what's on the other side.
So can they, at their direct, that would have been their E3 direct, do you think they would take a game this big and finally like, all right, here's the name, coming out in November? Do you think that they would try that would even be a strategy they would even try? That's what you got to figure at this point. If you're gonna answer this question, you got to assume we're not gonna know about it anymore until whatever their E3 direct, whatever the replacement is going to be for that, whether they're just going to do it in June or whenever, and then release the game 4 or 5 months later. Would they do that? I don't know. That's the tough part.
I think it's a bit different with this game now. The fact that they have already announced it, we saw a little cutscene, and it's coming off the back of Breath of the Wild, which is the biggest selling Zelda game ever now. I think they could just show a trailer or two in between a 6-month period and then launch it. There's no. I don't think that would affect the game, whatsoever.
And then drop a direct.
The hype would be there. The hype would be there.
I think
you don't need you wouldn't need like another dedicated E3 Zelda event. for it. I
No.
don't feel.
Oh, 2016? No, you don't need that.
But if it does release, like I'm gonna pull a Robert. Like they don't really, to me. Not that I would give them like an A+ just because of one game, but that would be, make me forget about the previous.
Yeah, the year can still be saved. We can, they can come out with bangers at the rest and end of the year and be like, I'm shutting up now. Thank you.
But honestly, it could be my next Switch purchase still for what we know right now, since Luigi's Mansion 3 Breath of the Wild sequel could still be my next purchase. Cause
damn.
Don't talk like that,
that's kind of sad.
Because I'm
even not getting Xenoblade.
I mean, I would have, but the release date just put the dagger in it for me. I mean, I might pick it up later.
Too many games.
Yeah, unless Last of Us Part 2 gets delayed. That was my plan.
Oh yeah, that's true.
If that came out, like if Xenoblade had come out February or March, I probably would have been tempted. It would have depended on hearing the improvements or changes they made to, but unfortunately, Retro, you're gonna, if you say you love the battle system in this game, I'm gonna have to fly to through the coronavirus to France, and I'm gonna have to bitch slap you because it is a lesser version of Xenoblade Chronicles X's battle system. Use the D-pad.
I saw that trailer, and because I didn't know, I never played it, I saw that trailer and I saw the combat. My first thought was literally, oh fuck no, it's gonna play like X.
Yeah, it's not even as refined as X, in my opinion. I don't know if anybody else wants to challenge that.
Too harsh.
A lot of people's concern with Xenoblade, and I went to a couple of Xenoblade centric channels to see. A lot of people was like, "Fuck, I wish they had updated the battle system because literally the problem with Xenoblade 1's battle system is the fact that it's the first of that battle system.
It's the first one, yeah. So
it unfortunately comes off as lesser. And to be fair, that was part of the reason why I didn't get that far in it when I started playing the Wii version originally. It's not like it's bad, but like for me, I wasn't used to it, and I'm thinking maybe with the other 2 games under my belt, I know it's gonna feel lesser, but I won't feel like I felt like I got stuck. Like a couple levels down. Like a difference between you and the enemy is like almost like
you get destroyed.
Different. It's fucking insane. So I'm
even if you're at the same level as them, your boss is gonna whoop your ass.
Yeah, so
yeah,
I
want a couple levels higher.
This is me giving it an honest shot at the end of May. I don't like the one thing I will say that really pissed me off about the direct and the whole 2K support was, why in the fuck did you put out all those games on the same
day?
The same fucking day.
And didn't you tell me that Shantae comes out at the same?
Yeah, Shantae comes out.
Shantae comes out, yeah.
On the 29th. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why did y'all all pick the same day? And y'all think all these games are gonna fucking sell like hotcakes?
You know what I said? I wasn't gonna buy any new games. I already pre-ordered the fucking vinyl edition of this game.
I knew.
I said to my wife, I've just pre-ordered something for £90. I don't know if I'm gonna buy it yet or not, but the pre-order's there.
It comes with the vinyl in Europe, right?
Last minute.
You had your head down in shame, like fuck.
It comes with a vinyl in Europe, right?
Yeah. The Europe edition is beautiful. Yeah.
If anybody,
I was fucking.
Just to get back on this subject, anybody watching the stream, I paused this. Maybe this is a cinematic, and that's why they couldn't change it much. But if people still think this is like Baron thinks this is a built from the ground up remake, and you're looking at this shot right here, this maybe it's because it's a video. I don't know, and they didn't want to recreate.
Some people did.
That's the end game though. The
like,
first part is we call it CGI.
But like this is definitely pulled straight from the Wii version, but cleaned up slightly because this is not. We've seen more, so I mean it's definitely a remaster, but they've done a lot to it, so that's another maybe.
That's why I call it a remakester.
Yeah, I appreciated some of the subtle changes, like saying they re-recorded music, which that should be legendary because Xenoblade already had. Even if I didn't get far into the first game, I already recognized Xenoblade has like.
Wait a minute! I just read this. What is the clicking? T has no mic. T is talking through his iPad, so it's not T's mic.
No, it's clicking clear that up. Every time you talk.
Oh
well, it's not my mic.
Someone asked the question and just responded with that like a while ago.
That was like an hour ago.
Yeah,
I'm just seeing this for the first time because I wasn't looking at the stream.
I feel like that's juice. That's juice making.
Well, it's whatever it is. It's when you talk. There's like a clicking sound.
I do. Yeah, I do.
So they said they cleaned up the HUD, but this is very similar. I have it paused. It'll be probably a second.
It's not the same.
I didn't love that they just kept like the white icon with the, I kind of wish it was a little more like, I don't know. It's got to stand out a little bit, but it does.
It's kind of like a damn if you do, damn if you don't.
Yeah, like maybe.
There's only so much you can really do to it. That's why I said it's kind of I understand it, and I was like, I get it. So I was kind of cool with it. It's gonna be weird for me because I've been playing Xenoblade 2 so much, and now I got to go back to fucking selecting on the goddamn D-pad which way to go. It's not like it's the worst thing in the world. It's just that when you play 400 and some hours of a game, you kind of get stuck into a mindset.
Yeah.
And then obviously Xenoblade 1 has the whole positioning and how that shit actually matters.
It has the whole like see the future mechanic, which I never figured out in my 10 hours or whatever I played.
Well, the whole, the fact that there's no blade, so you don't got another person there,
Well, yeah, that.
And you're not hitting the buttons, like you said, going back to the D-pad. For me, it's fine because I played way more X than I did 2. But
I want to talk, but I don't want to turn this into another Xenoblade.
Yeah, we gotta wrap this up here, but I will say the new character models are the biggest improvement by far.
Bro, the shit was so crazy. When
that sequence right there looks straight out of Wii. With the Mechonis bunched up on that shit and they jump down.
Yeah, we might have to have next week. We might have to go in a little deeper because I know we had a little bit of a difference of people thought it looked like the improvements were more than. There are areas where it does look good, but it's kind of a cinematic camera. I'll try to find the spot for the new stuff.
Ashy. They look ashy and shit.
It's kind of like a panning camera, which kind of makes me feel like it's a cinematic.
There's plenty of comparison videos out there if you want to have a look.
There's some good comparison.
Right here, this looks really good. Once, and then the next shot with looks like a lighthouse or a windmill. That looks really good. Where's it at?
That fog though.
So I mean, right here, it's not a lighthouse, but it's like a castle.
That reminds me of 2 a lot.
Right here, like this looks like a completely different game.
You know why?
That's the new part. That's why.
This is the cut content. This is
because this looks like.
I said this is using the Torna engine for sure.
But maybe because there's not a lot of rock, there's not like huge environments in the background. It's just the one castle and then some trees. Maybe that because the rest, almost every other shot has like giant like mountains and stuff in the background where there's.
Well, I think it's also because it's the new content. I'm sure they did. Yeah.
But anyway,
it'll be interesting to kind of have a graphics comparison on new content, and then in the same game, the original content. I mean, look at that.
I really just think it's like I said, because almost every other shot you see has giant rock structures with all that rock textures and stuff going on. This was just kind of a on the ground with the grass in the foreground, type of thing. So
it's a must-buy game. It's a must-buy.
I mean, I'm tempted. I ain't gonna lie, I'm tempted because I like I said, it just depends on.
I'm making fun of somebody.
I don't follow people that I've said this is a must buy, so you'll have to tell me who it is afterwards. But I probably can guess. Anyway, with all these games, just a final thought on Xenoblade Chronicles X 2. They always had spots where it's like, oh my god, this looks. How is this possible on the Wii U? How is this possible on the Switch? And then there's spots where in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 when you're on the top, what is it called? The tree thing. And it's like, there's like this, it looks like, reddish rocks and stuff. And you go anywhere near the edge and it looks like N64, like Doom 64 textures. Like there's areas that look absolutely atrocious. And then there's areas that look absolutely gorgeous. And I think the same's going to be for this remake. So, but we'll talk more about it. We got some time before that comes out. And you know what? There ain't going to be a lot of Nintendo stuff to talk about until we whatever their E3 replacement Direct is going to be.
You know what the good thing about that is? It means we can have weekly Animal Crossing updates every time on the podcast.
No.
You can have your own Animal Crossing podcast.
Don't twist it. You already know what the podcast is going to be about. It's going to be about Juice's Game of the Year of 2020 because that comes out on Friday.
What is that?
On Friday?
Resident Evil 3.
I mean, I think it's been good.
You know the funny thing is, dude.
What was that sound?
I just heard it's 5 hours. It's a 5-hour playthrough.
I watched the fucking reviews. I watched some of the reviews, and I was like, "Oh no!"
It's only 5 hours.
I've seen IGN. IGN gave it a 9.
I mean, yeah, it's getting good reviews, but they said it's made to be replayed, but it's about half the length of Resident Evil 2, and it doesn't have as much of the puzzle solving and exploration. So
IGN didn't say none of that shit. You can't trust nobody.
I watched Gaming.
I watched Easy Allies.
Anyway, because that's what Resident Evil 3 always was. It was an average Resident Evil game.
But they said what's there is really good. It's just a little bit shorter. I'm like, man, I don't know if I can pay $60 for a short 5-hour game.
Just wait a couple months. It's going to be 25.
But then it's like,
that's why, yeah.
Do I want the Steelbook case? I'll lose that.
You don't need it
because I got the Resident Evil 2 one. I don't want.
I got to make my collection complete.
And I know it's going to be enjoyable. I just hope that it doesn't even have the B scenario though. It's just
no, it doesn't. It's actually missing content from like the original, from what I've heard.
So that's a bit of a bummer. I don't know if I can.
Oh yeah, it doesn't have a New Game Plus. I heard that.
Yeah,
that's lame.
I might have to wait till that drops in price. So
that's how I felt. I was gonna buy that Friday. I was like, I don't know how I feel about this.
Well, then I can just get the Control expansion DLC.
I thought you were gonna get that anyway, though.
I was gonna wait now because that game was coming out, but
okay.
I'll probably get that now. And Doom Eternal. Doom Eternal is amazing, but any type of game like that, if you tried to play it for like 3 hours, you're gonna get fatigue.
Too much, man.
It's too intense to play.
It's like a Michael Bay movie and shit, punching in the face.
But when I'm playing, it's like just bliss. I've already gone back to the first chapter and to get all the collectibles. So I definitely have stuff to play.
I think it took me like 2 months to beat 2016.
Yeah,
because I just it's great when you're playing it, but it's a lot. It's
you need a break.
Up your senses. You need a break. Yeah,
it's like an overload.
It's like watching a horror movie. Like, you can't watch. Maybe some people can, but
you need those down times. You can't have intense, gore fests for like 2 hours straight.
But anyway, let's get out of here. If that is this Friday, isn't it? Resident Evil. So
April,
if I keep my pre-order, I'll share some thoughts on that. And then you got Final Fantasy VII. They're saying they're shipping it to stores now, so people might.
Some people already have it.
Like, I would just tell stores just sell it. Like, what's the point of waiting for a release date at this point with everything going on? Just get it in people's hands.
You might as well just put that shit out there now. Might as well.
And then after
I don't want it, but somebody do.
Then after that, it's like we got to wait till May 29th till a bunch of shit comes out. So it's me
on one day.
It's gonna be interesting. Splash. But anyway, Thanks for everybody for tuning in. I know it still probably didn't pop up in people's feeds, so thanks for the 20 people watching this whole time. It's less than half of our numbers when YouTube was working right. So I'm hoping it's just a glitch and they're not, or maybe they're doing it just to try to limit people streaming because they know
they might be doing that.
Everybody's watching at the same time. But appreciate you guys.
That's just dirty. Sorry.
And stay safe. Hopefully, we'll have some light at the end of the tunnel in a couple months with this whole coronavirus shit. But gaming's there for us. I mean, Animal Crossing seemed like it came right at the right time for a lot of people. And, so yeah, just try and find something. Keep your mind active. Read a book. Watch some.
Write a book. You can write a book too.
Watch some.
You're doing that for years.
Watch some shows. Watch some movies. And we'll see you guys next week.